Hello, everyone. So, formally, I am welcoming everyone and the listener who are listening to us, the Nuraldeen podcast. And you guys know it, or you guys and ladies, definitely you know by this time, whoever know the Nuraldeen podcast, that usually we do the contemporary Bangladeshi politics. We try to address all this area of contemporary Bangladeshi politics, debate and discussions, and narrative through this podcast. And this podcast, especially, we were designing that way so that our diaspora Bangladeshi people can get essence that what is happening in Bangladesh, also the people in outside of Bangladesh can get an idea and the authentic information and analysis what is happening in Bangladesh. That is the main objective for this podcast. So I'm Dilshana Parul, welcoming everyone in our Nuraldeen podcast. Before starting, let me give my gratitude to the Marty and the people who have died, who have in this July uprising. I really pay my respect to those people who fought directly in the field. Let's start today. Before I start, if Ehteshamul Haque, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and the viewers? Ehteshamul Haque, please.
Thank you so much, Dilshana Parul. Thank you for that very um, important introduction. Definitely, we all owe a big vote of thanks to those who fought and died in the July uprising. My name is Ehteshamul Haque. I'm a lawyer by profession, mostly do technology and commercial contracts, and I'm based right outside DC in the USA.
That's great. Thank you so much. That was pretty brief, very short orientation of you. So, okay, you are based in USA. Let me go to Hogpie. Hogpie, if you could please, if you introduce yourself, that would be helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilshana. Well, I think people will get confused because there are two Ehteshamul Haque here, but I think my name is shorter, Ehtesham Haque. I'm based in London. I'm a community organizer and a consultant. That's my background. I was born in Bangladesh, raised there. I left Bangladesh when I was a teenager, but I have been obsessed with Bangladesh, and I've I've sort of kept in touch with the country where I was born, and especially since July, I feel even more obsessed and more connected, and that's why I guess here. I think we're a part of a group, and Jyoti Bhai suggested that both Ehtesham should go at it because we do have slightly different attitude towards where Bangladesh should head. So thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you so much for just making your time for us. Thank you, really. So let me start with you, actually. What is your understanding after 36th of July? You know that we call it 36th of July.
Yeah.
After July uprising, what is your understanding as a diaspora, member of a diaspora community about Bangladeshi politics? Where we are going now? What is your understanding?
My understanding is that we have witnessed a watershed moment in our state's history, and we're already in Second Republic. I know people at times probably feel, oh, what does it mean? Like, why do we have to call it Second Republic? Sort of, we don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of the ceremonial proclamation of Second Republic. If we declare it or not, I think as a nation or as a state, since 5th of August, we've entered a second phase. And that's because if you look at the way people responded and came out, took the streets, from rishkawalas to teenagers to housewives to bankers, you name it. Everyone took to the streets and were not afraid of giving their lives. And if you look at all the non-violent resistance or even violent resistance over the last 52 years or since Bangladesh independence, we haven't seen anything as such. So I think there is that creed that we want to see a fundamental change in how we organize our governance and how we take the country forward. So I'm very optimistic, and I think it's an opportunity, and we should look at it more positively and with courage, I would say, and with hope rather than being skeptic. I mean, there is this tendency amongst, I would say, Bangladeshis, even in Bangladesh or abroad, though we can't do. And I think that attitude helped Hasina to sustain her dictatorship for 15, 16 years. And these young boys, they believed, no, we can. Yes, they started with the quota reform, but because of that belief, their action were sincere, vibrant, and they were able to do it. And all the political pundits and all the representative politics by the political parties, they did not believe in it. They almost gave up. That's why they were the passive participant in the revolution. So I think where it's heading, what we can see now is the tension between those entities who are representative politicians. They think, oh, we do politics, we have a political party, and we should be calling the shots. We should be saying where we should be heading. And now suddenly they find that the ground has shifted. You have seen the birth of a new political entity. Yes, they are not a political party yet, but they are a very strong political entity, and they want to be part of the future of Bangladesh. So that's how I look at it so far, and I want to look at it very sort of with courage and with optimism. And at times I know it's regarded by more mature and how what shall I say more wise people. You know, those wise people who thought it's not possible. They think no, we should go very cautiously and take one step at a time. And I don't subscribe to that approach. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, you just narrated down pretty interestingly, and I really loved it. Like, yeah, the people who like me, I migrated from Australia. From Bangladesh at the age of 37. But you were pretty young. But the way you narrowed down the entire July uprising, specifically, the term you use, that political entity, though they are not the political partisan, but identifying this political entity that behind or the people who are not in the Bangladeshi arena at this moment, it's pretty difficult because it is such a blah and not a distinguished area. It's really difficult to identify that, okay, there is a strong political entities there who are not partisan. Like we can get that because we are so intensively involved. But
And then
you
they're not
here, I
happy.
really love that thing. You want to add something in there, Hawk?
Yeah, so and also they're not happy because they feel almost like these boys are imposters. Oh gosh, we're supposed to participate in election, say and do things for the state, and now suddenly these 26 years, 25 years old kids, and they are like, sharing the platform with us. They don't like it, I tell you that. And so that's the tension. That's the tension.
Yeah, I will come back to you with the tension later on. Um, Ehteshamul Bhai, if I go to you, Hawk used a word Second Republic. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with him or not. That is a different chapter. I have my own perspective, perception. But as a lawyer, how do you perceive the Second Republic at the after 53 years of independence? Because we already have our Republic of Bangladesh, though the Bangla term we don't recently like that. But what is your opinion regarding that Second Republic? I'm not feeling comfortable. What is your opinion?
I'm actually sort of a linear person, so I don't worry too much about labels. I want there to be democracy, I want there to be participatory and inclusive politics, whether we're in a second republic now, you know, the label can be given now. It can also be given 5 or 10 years later when scholars look back and can analyze from a distance the actions of what happened. So I have to say I'm agnostic on this matter. We could be on a second republic. I don't know.
What do you mean by we could be a second republic? Like, okay, let me make it more specific to you. Like nowadays, the constitution reformation, this word, or the state reformation, these words seems pretty popular. Like lots of people are talking about lots of stuff regarding these two topics. If I put these two topics in your plate as a lawyer and then bringing up the word republic, second republic, how do you phrase it or narrate it down? Ehteshamul Haque.
I think it's a great discussion. The Constitution, the Republic, it belongs to all Bangladeshis. It's sort of the common bond that ties all of us together in a way, along with, our culture, our society, some other common ties. So, there's a process going on right now. There's a reform commission that was appointed by Dr. Yunus. It was generally, acclaimed. I haven't seen much controversy about Dr. Ali Riaz or the other commission members. One of the most renowned student leaders, Mr. Mahfuz Alam, is part of that commission. And my understanding is the commission will give their report either in December or maybe in January. And then there will be consultation. And then, the nation will act based on what the report comes to.
So, what do you think about the constitution reformation or completely new constitution? Do you have your own opinion regarding this too?
So a constitution has to work. In my mind, a constitution should be a brief document that helps during times of uncertainty. Um, what the deposed dictator Sheikh Hasina did is she intentionally sort of made a very strange document that the prime minister cannot be removed until there's some other person who is ready to take oath as prime minister. And she thought that in that way she was being very clever, that will help her stay in power forever. So, to me, a constitution should have clear guidelines. It should help transition of power. It should help continuity. It should have the goals of what our country stands for, our people, all the great movements we've been part of. And of course, that includes the 2024 movement. So whether we get there through reforming this document or a new document at all, again, to me, what matters are the end results.
Yeah, all right. I get that. That to you, it's the matter of the end results, and we don't know that when these end results will come, or is this a continuous process, or what are the area? So
So I'll
you want to
jump
ask?
in, sorry. But we do know because there's a process in place. There's a reform commission that will give the report. If they give the report and say we need a new constitution from, just get rid of this document and start from the beginning, maybe that's what the country will do.
Yeah, sounds pretty optimistic. I also want to be like that. So
I'm a very
Hawk,
optimistic.
yeah, definitely. We have to be optimistic. There is no other alternate. Hawk, if I go to you with the same questions, like the constitution reformation or the entire changes, what do you think, based on your understanding and the political experience or whatever the point of view you are carrying? Like, I'm a bit confused that if you are put your opinion, I mean, if you are giving green signal to constitution reformation or complete change, do you think that we need to do that? And I will come to you the second question about the republic too, but first answer that question.
Okay, with regards to constitution, now, what is a constitution? Why do we need a constitution? A constitution is a reference point for us as a state. And it's a social contract between the citizens and the republic that we have built, or we have earned, let's say, since our independence in 1971. It sort of lays out the rule of the game, how we will be governing ourselves, what sort of principles that we will go back to in making sure that within the state we are enjoying our freedom and we are paying tax, let's say, to the government. Why should we pay tax? In return, let's say the state's supposed to give us security. The state's supposed to provide us with our fundamental needs, right? So that's the social contract. So a constitution as a document is a reference point. Yes, you can write the most brilliant constitution, but if no one follows it, it's not going to work. I understand that, but that doesn't mean we should not have a good one, a functional one, a one that we all can subscribe to, one that we all can feel that our aspirations will be fulfilled. Now, how it started, our journey of our state started in a very, very deceptive manner, shall I say. So in 1970, December, when my father went to the polling station in East Pakistan, he went to vote for Pakistan. He was voting for the campaign slogans that he has seen in the 6-point campaign that Sheikh Mujib's Awami League did. Now, what was the first point in one of those 6 dofa? What was the first dofa? Let me read it to you. Number 1, the Constitution should provide for a federation of Pakistan in its true sense, based on the Lahore Resolution and the parliamentary form of government, with supremacy of a legislature directly elected based on universal adult franchise. Now, that's what my father voted for, right, in December 1970. Now, in 1972, it's a completely different scenario. A constitution was imposed on people with a bunch of people who got together. Yes, you have to give them their due credit, they worked hard, etc., etc. But it was not ratified by my father. It was not ratified by all those people who fought for their freedom. Can you see? So that disjoint was always in there. And since obviously 1972 until, let's say, 15th Amendment, Sheikh Hasina and everyone sort of played with it. So what we are saying in Second Republic, after July Monsoon Revolution, we're saying, look, this is an opportunity for us to really let the citizens of this country to have a say what should be in that constitution. And so that's the opportunity. Now, yes, there is the other opinion, is that no, we should just get by. Now, for me, it's also connected to, by the way, the Republic question. Now, when we're declaring, or we don't have to declare, I'm saying we have already emerged as a Second Republic. It doesn't have to go through, let's say, nitty-gritty of writing or proclamation. We're saying that let's now have a restart. It's almost like, in the new year, we have new resolution and we say, okay, it's new me, right? I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to, pray 5 times namaz, or I'm going to start eating healthy and whatnot. It's rebranding yourself. So as a nation, it's an opportunity for ourselves to rebrand ourselves. And we're okay to say, oh, it's Bangladesh 2.0. Oh, we have gained our independence again. Then why should we be afraid about saying it's new me, it's new us? And that's what it means by saying that we are in Second Republic. And I believe we are in Second Republic. So yeah, I think I've answered both of your question. And you also asked if I was to give an opportunity to, let's say, draft the constitution. Now, to break it down for a layman, okay, what do I want? So I do an interesting exercise. There's a philosopher called John Rawls. He's from our Ehtesham Haque by state. He was a US American philosopher. His famous work was Theory of Justice. Now he used to do one of his very interesting work was Veil of Ignorance. So he was saying, okay, Dilshana or Ehtesham, imagine you do not know who you are and you're being born in a state, right? So you could end up being blind, you could end up being Hindu, you could end up being Muslim, you could end up being Chakma, let's say, right? How would you define the rule of the game? How would you write the constitution so that you are not disadvantaged, right? So I do that exercise and I think, what do I want? If I'm to become or be born in Bangladesh as a citizen, what would I want? And I do not know, bear in mind, I do not know if I will be Muslim, if I will end up being a Chakma or a disabled person. I think it's quite very, very fundamental. I would want the state to make sure I'm treated fairly. It should give me my security of my life, my liberty, and my property initially. And then if the state, once I become sort of able to go into employment and or I'm free to do business, where also I need to be given equality, then if I pay tax to my state, to my republic, then the republic in return should make sure my children can go and have good education. The state should make sure that if I need health care for myself and my family, then the state should contribute to that, right? And the state should make sure I have a roof over my head. And the state should make sure if I'm abroad, I can be proud of my identity, let's say as a Bangladeshi, so that I know my passport should have some value. And also the state should, from my contribution, the state should redistribute the wealth to do business on my behalf. And the state should look after this state on my behalf. I, as a citizen, I own it. So I will take that approach. And then there will be no question of discrimination. Because I may end up, so if I'm born as a Chakma or as a Hindu person in that state, I'm writing that constitution should ultimately make sure that it's serving a citizen irrespective of their race, their gender, their philosophy as well. So I should also have the right to say what I want to say, worship who I want to worship. Now I will take that approach I think, sorry, I'll quickly add something. I've seen how best to put it diplomatically. I've seen Andali Brahman Partho, one of the politicians from one of the stakeholder. He just, this is a very populist move. He said, why should we not have Islam as the state religion, and why should we not have the name of our Prophet Muhammad Islam? I think it's just a cheeky move to be more populist, and it's going to create more problem rather than resolve more problem. And these are very problematic approach. We don't have to mention it there. You probably have to say less, not more in the Constitution. The moment you start defining it as, I'm Dilshana Parul, I'm from Australia, I'm this, I'm a woman, I need to make sure it's giving me some extra advantage, then that's problematic. So yeah, I'm sorry, I can go on and on. I should stop.
No, I just love that, especially that your end point at the end, what you have brought out, especially write down the Constitution in the eye or in the point of view of a minority. That's a fantastic way to put it down. Like if you were a minority, maybe Hindu, maybe Chakma, maybe any kind of ethnic minority group, then how you would write it down, that should be the point of view to come up with any kind of constitutional changes. I just love that statement. Seriously, Hawk, that's a fantastic thing. I will come back to you. So, Ehteshamul Bhai, if I go to you, how do you take like the example Hawk just brought out about the Andali Patto, that okay, as a Muslim majority, that should be our demand, that should be our proclamation in the constitution. What do you think about that thing, Ehteshamul Bhai?
I do want to answer your question. Let me make a quick um, diversion back to something Hogpie said right now about the 1970 election and then the Constitution. The intervening year between 1970 election and the 1972 constitution saw a war, which the people of Bangladesh won. So I would disagree that there was any deception or any lack of clarity about what was the result. And I would say that the representatives of the people, the 160 MPs who had been, or actually 162, I think, East Pakistan had 162 seats, and then West Pakistan had 138 seats. So those 162 people had the complete right to draft the new constitution for the new country once we had fought and won a war. I'll pause here. Hogbhai, do you have a comment?
I tell you what, I'm really sorry. I think the internet connection was unstable. I don't know if it's coming as if it comes as a blessing that I wouldn't be able to answer whatever you said, but I did not hear a single word you said. So if
Oh,
you don't mind, can you quickly like repeat so that I'll see
yes,
if there is anything I can add.
absolutely. Sorry about that. So I was saying that, I may have mistook what you said, but I
Mhm.
just want to clarify that the intervening event between the 1970 election and the 1972 Constitution was the Liberation War of 1971, which made it.
Again, I can't hear.
Acha.
So again,
Dilshana Appa, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear? Yeah, I can hear you, Ehteshamul Haque, but Hawk, can you hear me? Hawk, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Dilshana, I
Yeah,
can.
okay. So what Ehteshamul Haque was trying to say that there was a strong legacy, I mean, strong relation or consequences among the independent, the concept and the constitution that whoever built up. But I strongly disagree here, Ehteshamul Haque, because the lots of constitutional researcher at this point in Bangladesh, we are really talking about the constitution which was basically written by the British as a colony for ruling the colony as a East India, I mean, yeah, as a in the Indian side, Indian colony. That's the same constitution adopted by the Pakistan. And when we were in independent Bangladesh, the same constitution, we have just keep adapting this thing without any fundamental changes. That's what the fundamental problem it's creating. This is the conversation discussion at this moment in Bangladesh. This is really in peak height. And that what I found in Ehtesham's, I mean, Hawke's conversation, that's the same conversation was really he is bringing out. But Ehteshamul Bhai has some sort of disagreement in there. That's what disagreement he was bringing. That this constitution did basically represent the expectation or the demand came from the independent.
How do
Was I
you know?
right?
How? I mean, I take it like my father was not called back to
Yeah,
say, oh, my father's name was Enamul Haq, by the way. He died into it. He wasn't called back to say, oh, I tell you what, we got into a war when we were independent, but we've written something. Do you like it? And
yeah,
as a citizen, my father was not asked about that. And
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a strong
Basically,
objection.
yeah. Yeah, what I got from Hawke's perception is that there wasn't any involved of the mass population or at least the representation of the different sectors of people from the new Bangladesh. That what is Hawke bringing out. It looks like that a group of very small group of people or bunch of very small group of people wrote it down, and that is what Hawke is bringing it down. But my perception, not the perception, that as per my very limited knowledge, what I know that this constitution basically was developed to rule Bangladesh and the Indian people and by the British as a colonial, that's as a colonial
Yeah, yeah.
tools.
And I
Yeah,
agree.
and when we got the Pakistan, even in the new Pakistan, we didn't do anything. We just adapted the same constitution from the Pakistan. When we have the new Bangladesh, again, Bangladesh didn't do anything about that, just straight away adapted the same constitution. That is the fundamental problem, what is happening in here. Again, I'm repeating that thing. Yeah. So, Ehteshamul Bhai, I'm going back to you. I will come back to you, Hawk, later about this thing. But do you want to add something in this
No,
conversation,
just
Hawk?
quickly, I think the attitude is always top down. Like, I know what's good for you, but I'm sorry, this is a republic. I'm a citizen. We're all equal. You don't know better than me. It's like, how I think our great Shafiq Bhai shared an article about Sheikh Hasina having built, I think, spending 1,000 crore next to Karnofoli. It's like as if like she's a queen. And this is what happens when you have this age. Don't worry. I know what's best for you. I'm gonna write something as I like it. I don't even need to ask you to agree or disagree. And I think the July Revolution, us, the young lot, and everybody said, enough. This is not a kingdom. This is the citizens, state. And in this republic, we're equal. And that's the fight is about. Sorry, that's all I'll add now.
Yeah. Again, I'm picking another word, the kingdom and the republic. Wow. So this is the constitution which is reflecting the kingdom. That's true. The way a kingdom run, because the British designed it. That's why they were as a kingdom, how you rule the kingdom, something like that. But no, it's a republic. That's a fantastic statement again. Ehteshamul Bhai, you want to agree or disagree about that? Ehtesham Bhai.
So I think there's, as far as I
Can't hear
know,
you. Is Haque Bhai, are you on mute? Ehtesham Bhai.
I can
No,
hear
I
you. You
can I
can't hear
can
me?
hear Ehteshamul Bhai.
I
I
can't
can
hear
hear.
any of you. I don't know if it's my system
We
or
can hear
So,
you as
Hawk,
well.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
yeah. All
I
right.
think.
All right then. The
Yeah.
Ehteshamul Bhai. I'm going to you.
So, yeah, I think there's a difference between the state of Bangladesh and the constitution of Bangladesh. The state of Bangladesh, I agree with you. It's changed not much from the colonial mentality, from, the British setup and then the Pakistani setup and then the Bangladeshi setup. We haven't really reformed our state. The Constitution of Bangladesh, as far as I know, was mainly written by Dr. Kamal Hossain, and he almost copied generally the Indian Constitution written by Dr. Ambedkar, but took out a lot of the things about federalism and a lot of the other things and made it a very unitary, and I agree with Hogbai, a very top-down document that's supposed to, he hoped, I assume, that was supposed to keep Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in power for many, many years. Whether how we move away from that, if we tear up the document and we write a new constitution from scratch, if that will somehow change the state of Bangladesh, uh, I don't know. I'm a little dubious because the state also represents our shared characteristic as a people, our upbringing, our existing power relationships. So I think changing those will be more difficult than having just a new document.
It's like
Yeah.
having straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhat I agree with Ehteshamul Bhai. Basically, that was my next question to you. So let me bring that to you on a plate, Hawk. So let's say, if you ask me, really, I wanted really fundamental changes in the constitution.
Yes.
That's the point. But the concern that Ehteshamul Bhai have brought about the conflict among the class conflict, the power conflict, the conflict among the institutions, all these things, though I'm not agreeing with the cultural conflict in terms of the constitution. Yeah, we have to agree with that point also. If we are going to change or bring fundamental changes on the constitution, is there a possibility about, the instability or civil unrest, social unrest? Is there any possibility in Bangladesh? What do you think? What do you perceive from the outside of Bangladesh? Is there a possibility in there? If we are going to do that, Hawk, I'm going to you. Did you? Yeah. Can you hear me? Hawk, I think.
Sorry, I'm back again. I think there was a bit of pause, but I got your question.
Yeah.
I actually, that anxiety. Oh gosh, it's gonna start a chaos, and listen, um, we we have to be offended that this constitution said everyone within Bangladesh is Bengali. It's racist, plain and simple. And if we are to really say in 2024, we don't have the courage or don't have the confidence amongst ourselves, yes, as a equality. I think that attitude itself, worry that we are talking about, are the same worries, enshrined within the current constitution. And all these worry should be ultimately inspiring us to change it and we should have the confidence that we can write a constitution which will be fair, which will be on the basis of truth, so that no one gets offended. Yes, it's a difficult task, but I completely get the anxiety comes from a very well-meaning spirit. I understand that, but what I'm saying, Ehtesham Bhai and Dilshana Parul and everybody, we have to be courageous. That's the courage ultimately got us to get rid of a monster like Sheikh Hasina. She escaped, got on a helicopter, not to be brought back. If she's brought back, probably she'll be tried and hang till death. And we are that nation now. We're not the nation of, let's say, okay, Pungabundu, so we have to bow down and we have to be like, oh yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. Why? Very cool. That attitude has to come. I give you one example. People are so much desperately looking for deity within this movement. Oh, who is the leader? We need a leader and we need to glorify him. Even though Mahfouz is saying, look, I'm not the mastermind, I'm not this, it's not, you understand? But they're saying, oh, where is the leader so that we can leave Jia's family, Mujib's family? Now we need another new family to rule us like a kingdom. That mentality got to go. This is a collective leadership. That's why you find plenty of leaders in this movement, but not one leader. You have Hasnat, a leader, Sarjis, a leader, you have Asif, a leader, Nahid, a leader. It doesn't have to be pointed to one person, like how Sheikh Mujib, for example. I imagine, right, Dr. Kamal Hussein has written the draft. Now, did he go to Sheikh Mujib with his draft? And did he have the confidence to speak on behalf of the citizens? Or was he almost like reporting to a master? Like if the master shout at him, he's going to immediately cut it, and put whatever the master says. That approach is going to go. Even after that, right? Even I have respect for Dr. Kamal Hussein, right? But he hasn't written a gospel. It's not a Bible, all right? That document belongs to the people. Yes, we thank him for writing it, almost writing it on behalf of Sheikh Mujib. But that document is not ours, and we want to change it, right? What other point I had, I forgot, but if it comes back to me, I'll tell you.
Yeah, most rarely you won't have that much time to come back to you.
Okay, all right.
How much we are ready to pay for that, for that courage. Like we already paid for the courage. That's true. That at the cost of 2,000 youths, we got this second republic. If I am going to agree with you,
that's the credit.
How much?
Yeah.
Cultural.
So this is the cash.
We're ready.
Yeah. So all the lives, you're quite right. We've already given it. All these 1,500 dead, all these 20,000 wounded. That's why they gave life for. That's why they gave their limb for. And it's up to us then to negotiate it and say, no, we're not going back. Like, what is the price of 1,500 lives? What is the price of 30,000 people losing their limbs? Not even a good, written, fair constitution for their relatives, for their family. That is not the price we can negotiate. Do we think of ourselves as such? I don't. Our young generation, we don't. And I appeal to everyone, if, even to the Murbis, I'm sorry if I do not mean to offend anybody. I love everyone and I respect everyone. But I'm sorry, if you are blocking the way, if you're saying, oh, slow down and go back, and where the new generation is saying, no, upwards, onwards, we want to move forward, at least don't stop them, right? And that's what a lot of political parties are doing. That's what a lot of pundits and a lot of other people, finally, I want to end with this. Mark Basinger, he's a Princeton professor of politics, right? There's this debate about, Ati Biplobi, it's not a revolution, it's an uprising, and all this. I tell you what, we don't have to decide now. He defined there are two approaches to understanding this event. One is minimalistic. Minimalistic means an uprising happened and one set of power holder has been removed by a new set of power holder, right? That's the minimalist approach. Maximalist approach of understanding revolution and if it's successful or not is to see if those events ultimately resulted in very deliberate, fundamental, and lasting changes. Now, we don't have to conclude now. What we're saying, revolution is still ongoing. And our attitude, our approach will ultimately define if that revolution was successful or not. But if we start, let's dampening it, saying, oh, we can't, either for Andalon, 15 years, 30 Eid we had. No, then it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. But yes, that I'll close on that. Thank you.
Yeah, you speaks like a revolutionary, frankly speaking, like the revolutionist politician. And let's not put the politician word, the revolutionary here, but it's more like sounds like me, like the thought I have in my brain, but it's not necessarily always I speaks or out loud the words, but it's the spirit. I think more or less everyone is carrying in your mind. But when we are speaking, some sort of compromising, some sort of because of the fear that just I talked before. Ehtesham Haque, do you want to add something with Hawk? Ehtesham Haque.
No, I mean, he speaks very passionately, and I definitely honor that passion and the place he's coming from. I actually am not that worried that if we get a new constitution, whether, there'll be chaos or not. I am a linear person who trusts in systems and deliberations. There is a committee that's working, so that's better than one person. The committee has student representation, and I trust them. I have faith in them, and I'd like to see what they come up with. Then we'll go from there.
All right, that sounds good. My last question to Hawk, to you. So one thing is, the passion, like the way that so passionately you talked about changing or throwing out the constitution. And another thing is pragmatism. So what do you think? Is there any, it's a relevant, like the fear that we carry, maybe it is coming from there. Do you think that is there any conflict in regarding our constitutional changes, this passion and the pragmatism, especially in the approaches that Bangladeshi policymakers are now following? Ehteshamul Haque.
Yeah,
I'm going to Hawk to you with this question.
I think it's balanced. So probably you guys can hear me. I hope my network's
We can
not
hear you.
disturbing again. No. So it's saying it's unstable. So we can also be very, calculative, calm, and composed. And the student leaders have proved it. And I think there has to be a balance between passion and pragmatism. I'm not a revolutionary per se, but even I think for us to demand a second republic should not sound revolutionary. It's reasonable, especially after the sacrifices that we have seen. And I think we need to start believing first that we are civilized. We can have consultations, and we, especially the elites and the middle class, and those who are placed or entrusted in, let's say, drafting. And we have a person like Dr. Mahdi Yunus. He's a symbol of passion plus pragmatism. Look what he has done since he started in a university in Chittagong about 40, 50 years ago, by giving a loan to a lady, a woman, the destitute woman, and he almost conquered the world. And so I like Ehtesham Haque. I have confidence in the current committee, and I have confidence in Dr. Mahdi Yunus. And I think, we will see something good, but we have to keep on supporting that, because there will be elements who do not want this 2.0 or Second Republic, because they want to continue the status quo, because that's their cake and they want to keep it. And that's the struggle. But so for, quickly, we can talk for all day. Like 31 point, for an example. 9 points in those 31 points by the BNP relates to constitution almost. Someone can argue. So they have a perfect opportunity to present it to the commission, So if someone can get it done for you, out of your 31, almost 9 is done. You have another 21 to campaign to seek votes from the people. So I worry about those elements coming in, like what Partha did today, making it problematic, scoring point and politicizing it. Then that would be an issue. But there we have to remain firm. I'm passionate doesn't mean I will be unreasonable. No, I'm passionate because I am for truth. I am for justice, and I want something that will work for all of us, so that our next generation don't have to be sniped from a helicopter, and children don't have to give life. And it requires passion and pragmatism and a balance.
Yeah, thank you, Hawk. Ehtesham Bhai, do you want to add something with Hawk's
Uh,
conversation?
no, I think that's a great place to end. I would very much
Yeah.
love it if our children can avoid the grisly fates of July and August and, have a better, brighter future.
Okay. My main concern is that definitely all of us want the constitutional changes, maybe in the form of reformation or maybe in the form of complete changes. Frankly speaking, I don't care. My main concern is the balance between passion and pragmatism, so that no more collateral damage or no more unrest bring out through this process. I think I enjoyed this conversation a lot. Thank you so much, Ehtesham Haque. Thank you so much, Ehteshamul Haque Bhai, both of you, for giving your such valuable time today. And thank you, everyone who will listen to our podcast. Thank you. Hope to talk to you later in some day. Yep.
Thank you, Dilshana. Thank you, Hashim. Bye. Speak to you soon. Cheers.